Does Bermuda have any cattle on the island?
Yes, yes. And for those folks that follow me on Instagram, I often go down to one of the dairy farms is near me. Now, unfortunately, if they butcher them, they do it for their family and extended family because there's not a whole ton of dairy animals. I'm sorry, farm animals. But we do have an egg producing farm here that can supply a good part of the island, and 2 or 3 dairy farms that supply the dairy.
And so where does the beef come from?
Various spots. A lot comes from the U.S. We're very lucky in that we're a British territory, so we get some British beef, and we get British fish, and also specifically British lamb, which is unbelievable. If you get a chance to have some of the lamb over from the U.K. that flies fresh we have a almost daily U.K. flight, British Airways, that brings in all that stuff to us.
Yeah, and I would imagine has to be a lot of seafood, right? I mean, you're an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, so.
A ton of seafood. And an interesting thing that I forgot to mention earlier, Dr. Baker, besides running the micronutrient test, one of the things I found out is I ran a thyroid and heavy metal test through a naturopathic doctor when I was really sick. And because I had eaten a ton of local yellowfin tuna, like I'm talking enough to put someone away for life, I had hugely high mercury levels when they tested that for me. I forget what the nanograms per deciliter were in my blood, but it was off the charts when it came back. They're like, yeah, you got to stop eating all that tuna or the high end fish and start going down to maybe some salmon or sardines or things like that.
And have you done that, and has that helped?
It has. I'm actually due to go back and get that retested in the near future. I don't eat nearly as much fish as I used to because I just love red meat now, as most carnivores tend to. I gravitate towards red meat, bison, if I can get any sort of game meat that comes in from time to time. But I'll have fish on occasion, and when I do, I have some sardines. I found them very beneficial, or some fresh salmon if I can get them. Get it.
And are you barbecuing out there? What's the cooking situation in Bermuda? Is it pretty much barbecue weather year round?
It is barbecue weather year round, and every I keep myself consistent in those by posting what I eat every day in my stories on Instagram for those that follow me there. So I barbecue in the mornings. I get the grill going and the air fryer going at the same time. So I basically get the bacon out on the grill in the morning, air fry the patties, time them just right, come in, and then in the evenings I put the chicken wings in the air fryer and I get the steaks on the grill, time those, and we're good to go because we're both my wife are busy folks like everyone, and it's just been a blessing. One thing I forgot to mention, Dr. Baker, talking about the veganism, was how entrenched my whole ideology was in it, that we used to book travel knowing that we could find vegan restaurants and hotels, and it ended up we could hardly go anywhere. We missed out on so many opportunities travel-wise. And now, of course, being a carnivore, you can pretty much go anywhere and find meat and beef and anything you want. But just that was, again, part of the ideology, like, oh, we can't go to that city, there's no vegan restaurants. Crazy when I think about it.
Yeah, or you can try to order the vegan off the menu and they give you a plate of lettuce or something like that.
That's what happened a couple of times.
And, and this is a thing because, as your wife had this vegan, was a certified vegan chef, and I'm sure your diet was fairly varied, I guess I would assume, lots of different options. And now it's kind of monotonous. I mean, how do you deal with that? Do you find it, because you've always asked me, don't you get bored eating steak every day? My answer is no, I don't. But same question to you are you finding that there's boredom creeping in, or, how do you alleviate that if that is the case?
If I can speak on my wife's behalf, she's not here, but I think I know the answer to this. For her, being a little bit later to the carnivore way of eating, she's finding a little bit of challenges, specifically, as carnivores know, with that crunch. We used to eat a ton of potato chips, so she's missing the crunch. I did too at the beginning, and we ate some pork rinds and things like that had the crunch. For myself now, I don't miss any of the stuff. I really don't. My sweet cravings have completely disappeared. Any of that stuff is gone. I crave red meat. It's unbelievable. I am so excited when I get up in the morning to eat these 80-20 patties and the ribeyes at night. I start salivating thinking about it like you. And when I see the stuff that you post online and you're cooking, I get jealous.
Well, I will tell you, as far as the crunch is concerned, for anybody who maybe care, I mean, I find you guys have a food dehydrator. So if you just get some thinly sliced, I've taken chuck roast, and I freeze it, slice it really thin. I'm talking, 2 millimeters thin. I just bought a deli food slicer, meat slicer. Throw that in the dehydrator, and it's literally like crunchy potato chips, but it's made out of meat, and you put a little salt on there, and it's every bit as good. In fact, way better than a potato chip. So for those that are missing the crunch, that is an option for you to do that. You know, and I just found you on social media, the period carnivorist. I think I'd seen you send some things to me on the messages, but I never knew who it was because I wasn't sure who is this person. So I've just followed you over there. How has your social media been received? And were there any people that might have known you as a vegan been there and said, "What the hell's going on with this guy? What's wrong with you?" That, you know, is it all, you know, rainbows and unicorns, or is there some sort of pushback?
You know what? Initially, and just to clarify, folks, it's at _carnivorist with a T on the end. Initially, Dr. Baker, was interesting. I had very little pushback. I took baby steps into the Instagram world when I was being a carnivore. I posted about the benefits that I learned through you. I didn't really post many pictures of myself. The more health I regained, I could not contain myself from letting folks know how amazing this way of eating can be for their health and their mental health. And so I started posting pictures before and after, and then of course I feel vindicated now because I'm getting my first vegan hate coming towards me, which is always a fun thing. And it's been interesting. So my true friends, they follow me, are actually being inspired by how far I've come and considering the vegan way of eating. Some other folks are going, yeah, this guy's just crazy. He's gone from one extreme to the other. What's he doing? But as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't really bother me. When, you know, as I age and continue to hopefully put on muscle and feel great, I'll just say, hey, you know, if I told you about this earlier, why haven't you started eating carnivore? Come on now, follow me. And more recently, I've started doing interviews myself with folks that you've already interviewed here, just as sort of, you know, saying, hi, I met you on Revero. And the stories that I'm getting back are absolutely incredible. I do one on every Sunday. I do some interviews with folks that have healed themselves with the carnivore diet, which is really great.